Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's another mini episode of the Spartan Shadows podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and I'm joined with my co hosts, Zack and Emmett. We're here today to break down another position group for the 2025 MSU football roster. A couple more days before football season, so we've got a few of these episodes coming to you over the next 11 days just to round out the roster. Today's group, we got the linebackers, a lot of returning players, some nice new faces as well. So let's get to breaking them down and give you our thoughts and insight on the position group in the room as a whole. I'll hit the roster real quick, like I have been, and then I'll let Zack and Emmett kind of give their insight and go from there. So to start, we have we'll go starting with linebacker Marcellus Pullum from Tyrone, Georgia. He's a junior. Obviously, we have Jordan Hall, a junior, and he's from Virginia, also named team captain as of today. We're recording this August 18th, so congrats to Jordan. We have Isiamoa, redshirt junior from Utah. Wayne Matthews III, a redshirt senior from Largo, Maryland. Samaj Bridgman, a redshirt sophomore from Philadelphia. Darius Snow, a sixth year from Frisco, Texas. Damari Malone, freshman from Macomb, Michigan. Sam Edwards, a sixth year from Williamston, Michigan. Leonard Ayu, freshman from Hawaii. And then we have DJ White, a freshman from Orchard Lake St. Mary's in Michigan. David Milliken, redshirt junior from Grayling. Brady Pretzlaff, redshirt freshman from Gaylord, Michigan. Chris Powarsik, redshirt freshman from Fenton, Michigan. And sorry, Chris, if I mispronounced your name. And that rounds out the room. So, guys, like I said, some young talent, some key returning pieces with some experience. Obviously, one of our defensive captains in the mix with Jordan Hall. Kind of a well-rounded room. What are your guys' thoughts on the linebackers for this season?
We also missed Sam Edwards. Sam Edwards was also a captain as well, I believe. So two captains in the linebacker room. So I think that one shows you what this linebacker room is going to be. It's a room that is obviously veteran led. A lot of these stars, a lot of these guys that are going to be playing are guys that have been around for a while, but you also have the young guys that show a ton of potential. I know that you obviously have like a I know you have Polium as well, but you have guys like Jordan Hall that is going to be in the center. He's going to be your middle linebacker. He's going to be the head of this defense. And if you really look at kind of two position groups that, in my opinion, you trust the most, I think you really have to include linebacker. And I think maybe even linebacker might be number one just because of the players that they have returning, just because of the experience they have in that linebacking core. But I think this is just what makes linebackers at Michigan State, especially this year, so intriguing is you have that experience, but you also have that depth behind them, that young talent that can come up and really make an impact. So I think you're going to see a linebacking core that's going to be a very deep but very impactful linebacking core. And I think you're going to finally start to see Jordan Hall finally get his time deserved because we've seen times and flashes from him of being one of the best linebackers on the field. He's really hadn't had that opportunity because of obviously Cal Halliday being the middle linebacker for the last 4 years. Cal Halliday is no longer at Michigan State. It felt like he was at Michigan State for a really, really long time. And I know there was actually a profile picture of one of the players and actually had Cal Halliday on the actual photo. So a lot of people are saying Cal Halliday is finally back. He is not technically more of a funny type thing. But I think Jordan Hall is going to be a leader of this defense. And you're really going to see him take control of this linebacking core. And I think this core is one that you can really trust. And I think if you have to be excited about one specific position on defense, I think it's going to be the linebacking core. And that's because of a Jordan Hall. That's because of a Darius Snow. That's because they have guys that are really good at rushing the passer, guys that are really good at filling the holes. But they also have guys like Wayne Matthews that's really good defending the pass. They have a good balance of both of those, and that's something that Michigan State has had a little bit in the past, but maybe not in every single position. I think they can have that every single position at the linebacking core now.
Yeah, this team, there's a lot of veteran, like Zach said, there's a lot of veteran leadership, especially when you look at your top three linebackers who are probably going to be the ones eating the most of the snaps this year. You see Jordan Hall, And Jordan Hall, who's more of the do-it-all backer, he can rush the passer, he can cover the tight end, he can cover a running back. You have Wayne Matthews, who he's a tackling machine, but also gravitates a little more towards the pass game than I would say pass rush. But then you also have Darius Snow, who's very similar to Wayne Matthews. So then the question becomes, who are you going to use to fill that second? I would say run stuffer and also just tackle machine. And I would say Brady Pretzlaff is your answer there, because you usually see the Spartans run about two deep, I would say about four deep at linebacker, so two pairs of two. Occasionally you have three. Last season we saw Jordan Turner and Cal Halliday eat most of the snaps. Turner has since moved on to the Broncos. Well, the Denver Broncos. Cal Halliday has graduated, and I believe he did not pursue a professional career. Other losses in that room, you have Aaron Alexander, who played occasional snaps predominantly in heavy packages, goal line packages for the Spartan defense. And then the only other loss in that room was walk-on practice squad member Carter Enyard. So of those four, but then you add DJ White, you add Ice Moa, you add Damari Malone, you add Leonard Ayu. There is a lot of talent coming into this group, and almost all of them are on that younger side. Ice Moa is really that player who I think is the X factor this year. His grades, he was great at rushing. The PFF had him. He was a rotational player at BYU. Had him graded out as great at rushing the passer, great at covering passes as well, but that was only on a small sample size. I want to say under 200 defensive snaps. So there is a lot for him to prove. But the early signs from his playing time in the Big 12, mind you, this was not just against, FCS or MAC competition. The early signs are good for Ice Moa. So you really have, I would say, 5 big names in terms of who you think is competing for that starting spot. Not starting spot, but rotational spot. But I wouldn't count out everyone else on that roster just from who you have. You have, I know Chris Pirwarsic. I'm sorry if I butcher your name as well. My apologies. He is a player that I believe walked on, and you see him competing for those special team snaps. You see Marcelius Pulliam, who I think he has some of the most untapped potential in that room. I think he could easily propel himself into that conversation. I would say, actually, you have 6 players that really compete for that playing time. And then you have David Milliken is a guy that, in my opinion, you're going to see him probably eat a ton of snaps on special teams. Samaj Bridgman is a player that kind of flown under the radar, very athletic. He just got shouted out today for probably having the most interceptions during camp today. Or interceptions during camp this entire offseason. So you have a guy who's making plays even if it's coming against the 2s or 3s. But if you're going to make those plays, you're going to get rewarded with playing time. So Samaj Bridgman is the guy to watch out for. That makes it 7. Then you have DJ White, a 4-star out of high school. You have Damari Malone, who's been on campus since January. You look at 8, 9 players. Obviously, you're not going to see 8 or 9 linebackers rotated through. But there is a lot. You can make a case for playing time for so many of these guys. It is arguably one of the most loaded rooms. I would say it's not a controversial opinion that this is the most loaded group for the defensive side of the ball, at least. And I would say I'm naming my starters as Hall and Matthews, but Snow, Bridgman, Pulliam, Pretzlaff, those are all guys, Moa, those are all guys who I think they all have their own roles that they can fill. Courtney Hawkins called the wide receiver room a 5-man basketball squad. I think you can say the same for this linebacker room for defensively. Everyone has their own role that they can fill. And the question becomes, how are you going to keep everyone how are you going to keep everyone happy with their playing time, and how are you going to keep everyone fresh and split those snaps, but still let the starters eat?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good description of it. I mean, at the top of the room, Jordan Hall is one of my favorite players that has came through MSU in a while. He's going to be the leader of the room. Obviously, Sam Edwards, sorry I didn't get you as captain as well. He's another great leader in that room, rightfully deserved as he's been around the block and has a ton of experience and will be an awesome leader for this squad. One of the X factors, I think, for me, Darius Snow, unfortunately, has had such bad luck with injuries over the past couple years. But before that, I don't know if anybody really remembers, but I know people remember, but before the injury bug hit him, Darius Snow was a very key contributor on this team on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying he's going to easily get back to that because those are some bad injuries he's had to recover from. But if anybody can do it, I think he can. And I think he's an extremely talented piece to add and has that experience as well. You know, being a 6-year guy. I know he hasn't played much the past few seasons, but he's been with the team. He knows the team. He knows the system, and I think he can execute very well on his playing time as well. Matthews obviously being another elder statesman. I kind of agree with Emmett with him and Jordan Hall probably being my starters, but you've got a ton of talented guys, you know, probably 6 or 7 guys that are going to see a lot of playing time. And then the freshmen, you know, DJ White, Leonard Ayew, Demario Malone, those 3 are guys that were really hyped for in the recruiting cycles. DJ White from Orchard Lake St. Mary's as part of that big group that's came from there. That's super talented. That's going to have high impact on this roster in the next few years, and I think he's no exception. Ari Malone coming from Macomb, Dakota, another bigger name school in Michigan high school football. He's had some experience excelling at a high level. Leonard Ayew, frankly, I think has great size, you know, 6'3", 230 now, and I think he's only going to build on that too. And then that's not even mentioning Brady Pretzlaff, who the redshirt freshman. I was super ecstatic when we landed him last cycle, and I think he's going to be a very key piece of this team in the future as well. So
he's been making noise in camp. The coaches have been mentioning him all.
Yeah, the coaches have mentioned him. Yep, and so I think now's the time for him to really start stepping up, and you know, in the future, he's going to be a focal point, if not the focal point of the linebacking room. I just think he's a very, very talented kid. Top to bottom, you really have some guys that are just excelling. Like Emmett said, Sanj Bridgman too, getting shouted out. He's been all over the place in camp. And so, yeah, you got several guys here, and that's not even talking about Ismella, any of the other guys that have been mentioned. Many contributors potentially. How are you going to fit them in playing time, especially with MSU only running roughly 2 linebackers, 3 sometimes, but depending how you slot, maybe like that nickel coverage guy, is Darius Snow going to be one to play it? He has in the past. Or are they going to move like a Justin Denson down from safety? You know, I don't know, but it's all possible. You've seen linebackers do it before. I don't know if that's necessarily in the cards this season, but it could be. You know, at the end of the day, the guys who are performing the best are going to play. So if you've got some linebackers standing out and you just can't find a spot for them on the field at linebacker, if they can fit into another position and get some playing time, they will. So sound group, talented group, like I said, from top to bottom, probably the deepest group on the defense for sure, if not on the whole roster. I know the receiver room's pretty stacked too, with depth at least. And so it'll be interesting to see how this works out. That's always a good thing, obviously, if the injury bug starts to hit in that room. You have guys who can step up and maybe not make the loss as big of a deal, but hoping not. Hopefully everybody stays healthy and we can have a problem of having too many good people that need to find playing time for us. You guys have any other thoughts regarding the room or anything you wanted to add into?
Thing I do want to say, I think maybe this is a bold take, but first down situation this year, I would not be surprised if you see your starting 2, starting 3 being, you have Jordan Hall, Brady Pretzlaff, Ismoa, that group. And then you might see more rotational for passing situations. You might see a Wayne Matthews come off the bench. I don't think that's a comment on Wayne Matthews. I just think that you have so many players who are good run stuffers, good pass coverages. You can kind of divide out this group more, and you might not really see true 1s and 2s. You might see a combination of literally those like 6, 7 guys I mentioned. There are so many players that I think this team has that are ready to contribute from the young group. Like, I think the young group, like your Damari Malones, your DJ Whites, they might end up redshirting when, at I would say even a normal MSU or a normal Big Ten school, I don't think you see both of them redshirt, but just this group this year, there is a lot to be excited about, in my opinion. That's also not to mention Leonard Ayew, who I think he's going to be a great contributor down the line. He's had the last 2 years off of football for his Mormon mission. So obviously I think he might take this fall to knock the rust off.
Yeah, no, and especially when your question marks on the defensive line, potentially on who could get to the quarterback, having some linebackers who are decent at it, too good to maybe great at it. That's another example. Joe Rossi could maybe dial up some pressures to help if for some reason the line's not getting where they need to be. As far as quarterback pressures, you can start throwing in some linebacker pressures and start really trying to attack the quarterback that way, and maybe that helps. Maybe that helps get the defense to be ahead on first and second down and force the opposing offensive into passing situations on third down where they can rotate their coverage linebackers in and help the secondary out. So it'll be
the best linebacker on the field at all times. Keep 5 on the field for as long as he's healthy and as long as he's ready to go.
Yep, Jordan Hall on the field as much as possible, and then utilize from there.
Don't put him at edge this year. Just put him in the middle of the field and let him do his thing. If it's rushing the passer, if it's covering the tight end, if it's dropping into deep quarters, let him do his thing. He's going to cook.
And if you can find a way to somehow clone him and get another one on the field, do that too.
I think we have that. I think he just has a 4 in front of his 5.
Yep. More. Just keep going. Keep it going. But Zach, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I'm good on my end. I think you guys addressed a lot of what I was going to say.
Shout out Sam Edwards as well. Obviously, with him being captain, I haven't really mentioned him much for this linebacker group. He is, in my opinion, I think you see him as that special teams captain. He's going to be that up back on field. He's going to be that up back. He's probably going to be back as one of the up backs for returners also. I think he is a player that he's one of those glue guys on the roster that he is the player that knows how to do everything. He's super smart. Him and Darius Snow, I would say, might be the 2 smartest players on the team. No shots at anyone else on the team. Those 2 are the 2 smartest. I just think that, shout out Sam Edwards. He can play any position. He stepped up at long snapper before. He is really the special teams captain, and I would call him the glue guy for this year's roster.
Yep. So shout out to the whole room. Really, lots of talent. And like I said, starting at the top with the 2 captains down to the new freshmen, you're going to see a lot of guys excel both, this year and in the future. So excited to see it translate. Obviously, having a good defense is something that MSU's prided itself on, and great linebacker plays always helped. So having that this year would be a great contribution and a great step forward. So that's it for this edition. We'll be back. We still have offensive line and defensive backs to do. So we will be back with those. And then on the main episodes, we've got some great interviews. We just recorded one with a very special surprise guest that'll probably be out before this, but we've also got some other guests coming on over the next week or 2 that I think everybody will like as well. So make sure to follow us on all socials. Stay tuned, and we'll be sending out some good content over the next few weeks to get ready for football season. So we are 11 days to Western. Get excited, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Green.